think that there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. Fourth easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So you're going to have the suck uniforms the entire season, but 3 games we'll give you with the best uniform. Those are the issues I have. The powder blues out for the Chargers. That should be every game. The Miami Dolphins old uniforms that they throw it back to. That should be your uniform, not the trash you wear now. The Patriots. You ever see them throw back with a little football player in the helmet? It is beautiful. But let's keep the trash uniform.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Things you have to look at is what the team has the following day, especially when it comes to bullpen usage. A lot of the things I like to attack is you see these extra inning games, these games get drawn out, these bullpens get worn, or if someone gets shelled the first 3 innings and they got to go to the pen, early, that's a good spot to kind of hop in the middle of the next game. You got a tired bullpen, right? You try and take advantage there, maybe with an over, maybe with a money line. You're getting plus money on a favorite at that point.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on a Wednesday evening. Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden in for Dave Sherapan once again tonight as Dave continues to recover from his surgery here until 10 p.m. Eastern time this evening. Well wishes to Dave, obviously. We got a little WNBA. We got some MLB futures. We have a maybe pullover on the road. Not only is this a pullover on the road side bet, it's like you can't lose. I mean, honestly, you can't lose. We got to figure this out and see if FanDuel's screwed up. So we can decipher that as well. We got college football. SEC Media Days continue today. So how about some over-unders for college football win teams? Some amazing numbers, win totals from some of these SEC teams. We'll get into that with Paul Stone from paulstonesports.org. He'll join us in about a half hour or so. But in the meantime, we got how about the 2 WNBA games? One that's just underway, another one that'll be starting in about 5-10 minutes. My partner in crime, Joe Madden. What's going on, Joe? How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Scott. A really light day. It's kind of odd not having anything else on the slate, but we definitely still have tons to go over today, so excited for it. How's your day starting?
Not bad. I threw out a couple of couches. I'm trying to clean up the basement. The wife is away, so it's nice and quiet in the house. So I'll try to get all these things done that normally I would just never do. And without having things to analyze and break down and pitcher strikeouts and all that other stuff, I got so much time on my hand, Joe. It's I kind of weird. I'm looking at the clock thinking, I got to be doing something. Got to be looking something up. I got to be doing some research or something. So it's kind of a weird Wednesday, that is for sure. We do, though, have a WNBA. We got the Liberty and Indiana going at it. No Caitlin Clark tonight. We'll see if she ends up playing in the All-Star game this weekend. Got another game going on in about 5 minutes, so we got some SGPs to throw out for the bettors out there. So how about a little early now, SGP same-game parlay time here on the grid. All right, I'll go first here, Joe. I got to grab Dallas. They're hosting Las Vegas, getting 6.5, depending on where you do your shopping. Dallas 4-1 straight up their last 5 at home. They play much better at home than they do on the road. They're coming off a 3-game road trip, which they had 3 bad games. So I think they're going to bounce back tonight. They played Las Vegas earlier this season, lost by only 4, high-scoring game. So I'll take them at home plus the 6. I'll grab the over 170.5. They had 172 points in the first game. Both can score, both give up a ton of points. So, in fact, the Las Vegas last game, they had 206 points combined against Golden State. So, over 170.5. I'll go with Paige Beckers for Dallas, 20-plus points at plus 154. She's coming off a 20-plus point performance. Should be a high-scoring game. If she's going to get 20 points, chances are pretty darn good. She's going to make at least 1 3. That's minus 310. Then I'll go on the other side. Asia Wilson, 20 points at minus 190. She gets that in her sleep. She's coming off, a 34-point performance last time out against Golden State. And then we'll go Chelsea Gray, one made three-pointer, minus 390. She averages well over 1 a game. So, she averages over 2 a game, actually. So chances are real good she's going to get at least 1. So add it all up, it's almost 9.5 to 1, plus 943 for my SGP. What do you got?
Oh, I love it, Scott. So I've got a smaller SGP here. I've got a 3-legger in the same game. I'm going to look at the over as well. I think the points are going to come raining in this one. I was able to get 169.5. I love it to the over. And then I'm going to look at Asia Wilson, but not for her points tonight. I'm going to look at her for her assists out there. Over 2.5 assists coming in at minus 168. Now, within the parlay, that's a reasonable price for me to throw into a parlay. Outside of the parlay, I do think she could record 4 or more assists. So I did take that outside just to know. And then I'll look at Paige Buckers here as well for her. Over 17.5 points coming in at minus 113. So the over 169.5. Asia Wilson over 2.5 assists, and Paige Buckers over 17.5 points. Scott coming in at plus 326. I'm feeling pretty confident about this small 3-legger here tonight.
All right. We're both on the same page with a lot of ours. I kind of upped it just a little bit, but we're both on Becker's over points. I moved it to 20 plus since her number was 17.5. So I figured I have 18 to 20. You want to give me odds, I'll do that. We're on, the points total as well. So over, you got 169.5. I had 170.5. I probably put it a little bit later than you did. So we're kind of on the same page, which is a good thing. So keep our fingers crossed. They'll have the first jump ball here in a couple of moments. Must throw it out there. We did hit our SGP last night, 23.5 to 1. We had to sweat it out with the goofy home run thing. But in the end, our 23.5 to 1 SGP did hit with the All-Star game. We had the National League winning, which they did. We had the National League in the first 5, which they were leading 2-0. We had under 3.5 first 5, which, again, it was 2-0. So even though the game ended up 6-6 technically, not 7-6. So if you played some props, it does officially go down. It's not like a shootout in hockey, Joe, where if it's 3-3, you go to a shootout, you win the shootout, you win the game 4-3. Technically, it was a 12-run game. So if you played any, adjusted props or whatever, the number was 12. But that said, it was 2-0. So we hit the under 3.5 first 5. Then we had Armstrong to get 1 hit, and Ronald Acuna to get 1 hit. So 23.5 to 1 parlay. That, as it turned out, I did not hedge because I left here and they were leading 6-0, and I said, I'm not going to hedge 6-0. They can't possibly blow that, right? And by the time I got to the train, it was 6-4, and then I'm driving home, and I'm hearing it turn into a 6-6 game, and I'm like, oh, what the fudge. So, but by the time I got into my house and everything, turned the computer on, they were in the home run shootout there. So it turned out to be a winner.
I was stressing for you, Scott. I tell you, I was pacing watching that because I knew what you had riding on that. And I was thinking, I hope he hedged because I thought anything was going to happen, especially when Brent Rooker opened up with that home run. We were talking about who we should jump in live for those home runs. We were able to hit him at plus 850 with that storyline behind him, right? So it was beautiful to see him open that up. But as soon as he did, and then the home runs started coming for the American League, my gut sank for you out there. And then my gut sank when I saw 6-6, everyone recording it as 6-6. I was like, oh no. If they don't pay Scott out on this parlay, but I'm so glad to hear 23 to 1. It was an amazing cash. I'm kicking myself for not tailing that last night, Scott.
Yeah, I didn't stay up. Well, I did stay up late. I just didn't watch the post-game stuff. Yeah. And, I'm looking at these 3 guys hit for the American League, and I'm saying to myself, I got Aaron Judge, I got, Cal Raleigh, the 2 top home run hitters in all of baseball on the bench, and this bozo stanky manager, Aaron Boone, is picking guys no one's ever heard of. Rooker, yes, but the other 2 guys, I mean, you had Buxton over there. I mean, what are you're picking this poor guy Aranda? He's got 11 home runs for Tampa Bay. No one's even heard of this dude. Why in the world would you be picking him, right? What a dope he is. But then as we found out, half these guys weren't even on the bench. They already went home already. I mean, how goofy is that? There was no Aaron Judge to pick. There was apparently no Cal Raleigh to pick. They already left. Him, Ohtani, they all left early. That's not right. That's not
right at all. How do they just get to leave, right? I was appalled by that, actually, Scott, because I thought the same thing. I was like, why? Why no Ohtani? Why no Judge? I questioned it. And then as soon as I heard that, I was just like, they're too good for the rest of it? They can't finish it out? They need to go home? They got a bedtime? I don't know.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, nothing for nothing, that if that was their goal to get the heck out of there early, well, obviously if Judge hits a home run, he can't leave. If he does really well or Ohtani does really well, and, there's Judge with an 0 for 2. There's Ohtani with a meaningless hit, and same thing with Raleigh. So it's like, you wonder. You just wonder.
There's a possibility.
Got to bet on FanDuel. Let's kind of decipher and see if they made a mistake or not. Otherwise, you cannot lose literally with this bet. I'll explain when we come back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's In-Game Live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, our number one. We got some WNBA. We do have some baseball stuff to get to here as well, including a bet that, I don't know, we need some help tonight. Either FanDuel screwed up or they're not really wording it right. So be careful. So either way, you want to tune in here for a second. First up, though, let's go to the WNBA board, Joe. We mentioned our SGPs, and we do got Indiana in action against the Liberty, and then our SGP game is just underway as well. We'll start with Indiana, second quarter late. Liberty lead at 49-35. I don't know Caitlin Clark. But they're actually 3-3 without Caitlin Clark. They've done well. They won the Commissioner's Cup without her participating. So I did like them get 9.5, 10. They're down 14. They're giving you 15.5. Second game of a back-to-back. But you know what? The best teams in the WNBA are actually 8-3 in the second game of back-to-back games. Now, a lot of those, I'm sure, are at home. This one's on the road last night in Boston. Have to drive down, I imagine, to New York. But I still think Indiana's got a fight in them. So I do like I'll double down now. I always leave a little bit on the side to double down. I'll take the Liberty plus the 15.5. I think they make this close somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I love them plus the 15.5. I was with you, Scott. I looked at them plus the points going into this. I was only able to get them plus 9.5, but I think plus 15.5 at minus 106 is a great price. I also like the total to the over. Now we've seen it fire up. It was 163.5, and with these teams coming out nice and strong, with the Liberty up 50-35, we are getting a live number 169.5. I still think we hit into the 170s here. So to that over at minus 108. And I did play a couple players and their props, so I'm just checking what those numbers are. I did take Boston here of the Fever for her points, and I did fire her up. I took her over the 14.5 points, and then I altered her to 20 plus points at plus 310. She's only got 4 points right now. I also took Mitchell of the Fever for her over. Her number was coming in at 18.5 at minus 108. Didn't alt her. She's already got 11 points on the board, so happy to see that. And then Brianna Stewart of the New York Liberty, taking her over the 19.5 points. It was really shocked they were giving us 19.5 for her. We know she'd go over that in the loss in the last game, and I think with Indiana keeping this one competitive, she definitely can hit 20-something points. Now she has 13 points on the board, and I was just checking to see if they're giving us an updated number with her to come in strong. It's still 20.5. I would still jump on it. Minus 114. She's already got 13 points, Scott. What am I missing? Why are they still giving us 20.5?
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is with Caitlin Clark, I know it's not her, obviously, but, the numbers seem so enticing this week, right? And then she ended up not scoring anything in that fourth quarter. So who knows with this WNBA? Maybe they have insights to the WNBA players that more than they have the actual NBA players. So I'd be a little careful. But it does look pretty enticing. It does. Yeah. So hopefully we get a lot of points in both these games. This way we can hit some of our other props as well. Here's... Joe, you got your FanDuel thing open? Your FanDuel page open? Go to baseball, MLB.
Okay.
All right. And then hit World Series prop. See the ones on the top there? Games, World Series, league winners. Hit World Series. Then scroll down, and it says winning state. World Series 2025 winning state. You see that where you are?
Interesting. Like where you're going so far.
All right, so you got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, my question is this. They give, for the viewers out there, they give you the option to pick which state the World Series winner is going to be from. Case in point, California, right? You got a number of teams. You got the Angels, you got the Dodgers, you got the San Diego, San Francisco, Sacramento. So you get all those teams. And they're giving you plus 175 odds. That's at the top. This is the key. The very next one that you could bet is any other state, Washington, D.C., or Canada, at plus 270. Then they give you New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, Illinois. That might be the last. No, and a bunch more. Missouri, Ohio. Is on there, as Florida's on there as well. So here's my question. If you're looking at that at the first time, when you see California and then the next one being any other state, are you getting all those other states? The New York and Pennsylvania and Texas?
I would
or
say.
Are you just getting any other state outside of California and New York and Texas and Ohio and all the others?
I would
How would
think
you read
it was
that?
any other. I would read it as any other state of Washington, D.C., Canada. So any other state other than California, right? Because California is listed first, and that's how I would read it, 100%.
Right? So
Yeah.
what's the problem, Scott? That's how I read it too. So because of the odds they're giving you, all you need to do is bet both, and you can't lose. Like, let's put, just for sake, it's not going to be a lot. You know, the profit's not going to be a lot, but it's a profit. So bet whatever you want. Take $100,000 out on your mortgage. You can't lose. So let's keep it simple. If you put $100 on California at plus 175, you're going to win $175 or 75 really. No, you're going to win $175, right? You're going to get paid back your initial bet. If you put $75 on any other state at plus 270, you're winning $202. So play it out. Let's just say New York Mets win. All right, I'm going to win the $202 because I have any other state. I'm going to lose the $100 on California, but I'm still up $100. If the Dodgers, will say, wins, I win $175, but I lose the other bet, but I'm still up $75. You can't lose.
Yeah.
So what am I missing, right? Either way, they're paying you enough where you could cover your butt on the other side and still make a profit. So
that's crazy.
Unless any other state is incorporating, not incorporating, rather, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, Illinois, Florida, Missouri, Ohio. But then it would have to be more than plus 270. We'll talk more about it when we come back.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I have to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. I tell you, you give me time with nothing on my hands. I'm a dangerous person, Joe, when it comes to this gambling stuff. I really, I could find a nugget. A needle in a haystack. You got it. So we're discussing a bet in which you can't lose, apparently. It's on FanDuel. And if it's not there tomorrow, then you know they screwed up. Go to MLB, go to World Series icon, hit that, drop down appears, go to World Series winning state. They allow you to bet on which state the World Series winner is going to be from. The very first option is California at plus 175 with the Dodgers and Padres and Giants and who else is on there? Angels and A's. Then the very next one is any other state, which makes you think it's either California or any other state. But then they also give you all the other states that you could bet. If you just think it's going to be New York or the Yankees, why bet any other state at plus 270 when I could bet New York at plus 490? And they give you Pennsylvania with Philadelphia and Texas with Houston and Texas and Illinois with the Cubs and White Sox and Florida, Missouri, and Ohio. So if all those other states aren't included in that any other state bet, I mean, they've taken all the best teams. Who's left? Seattle? Even Tampa Bay is gone. Baltimore is gone because they're giving you Washington, D.C. Toronto's gone because they're including that in that any other state. So it seems to me that, Joe, it's California or the field. And like I said, they're giving you the field at plus 270, and they're giving you California at plus 175. So that 270 allows you to bet that at a much reduced number. So if it doesn't hit, you can win with California at plus 175, cover your loss on the other bet, and still win a halfway decent amount.
I'm shaking my head.
I don't know what I'm missing.
I don't know what you're missing either. It seems so logical that how it reads just means you can get anyone but California, right? Like, that's exactly how it should be. Because if you're saying it's California or any of these other states listed, you're right. There's not enough value there. You're not getting enough teams. So that would be a plus like 7,000 bet, I would think, if it was anyone else. I'm with you. I think that plus 270 means anyone but California.
Yeah. All right. So, FanDuel, let us know. And if it's not there tomorrow, we're not on the air tomorrow. Unfortunately, there's nothing going on tomorrow. Although we could do a 2-hour show. I'll find more of this stuff if you want. I'll definitely find more of this stuff. So, if it's not there on Friday, then you know that they screwed up. Either way, I would tell FanDuel you have to be more clear in this bet, because you're going to, if it does not include all those other states, then you effed up and you're giving 2 free winners out or 1 free winner. If it doesn't include all those states, then you're not wording it right, because you're making it seem like you're getting the Yankees and the Mets and the Phillies and the Astros and all the other teams that would be excluded if you're excluding all those other states. So it just says any other state. If you want to hit the read more, it says this market refers to the state in which the World Series champion is located. All 30 teams are included in one of the selections below. So it's not clear. But
it's not clear at all.
I'd put it in. You want to call them and say, hey, what does this mean? Then you're telling FanDuel you effed up. You don't want to do that. Then they'll pull the bet down. Then you won't have the bet to make. You put the bet in, they could wipe out the any other state bet and keep the California bet, since that is right. It just seems like if it was any other state after all the others, it should be listed, as you said, Joe, all the way at the bottom, right? Not right after the California bet.
Right, and better odds on it, right? Because those odds don't make sense to include just the ones left out of this list, right? Because there's not enough. You said it. So I would think, right? I think it's definitely how we're both reading it. I'm going to put some money on it. So.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see how it turns out, right? Yep. There is another bet that legitimately, the numbers are right, that I do like. They offer up a good job by FanDuel. They do listen to us because I've been preaching about this for the longest time. How many or which team is going to have the most wins for the month of July? And the Red Sox right now have the lead at 11, but they give you odds on the Red Sox, Toronto, Milwaukee, Cubs, and all that other stuff. So we'll get into that, in a little bit, because there are two plays that really are pretty good bets there. Not a lock like that other one, but they're giving you pretty good odds on two teams that I think have a halfway decent shot, not Boston, of having the best record. But we'll take a break. We'll come back. How about some college football? Talk with Paul Stone, SEC Media Day this week. We'll talk to him about it when we come back.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good. And they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you for now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Joe, hour number one. We'll put the baseball aside. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But it was SEC, or actually is SEC Media Week this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Last day is tomorrow. So nothing better. No better time to do a little college football team total over-unders and get some thoughts on the college football season, pertaining especially to the SEC. So let us bring in Paul Stone. Check him out at Twitter at Paul Stone Sports on the internet and website as well, paulstonesports.org. Paul, Scott, and Joe, how are you on this Wednesday evening?
Hey, good to be with you guys. I tell you, we're hitting the middle of July. We've got college football coming up on Saturday, August 23rd. So just a little over the month. I think we're all getting the itch. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, definitely can't wait for college football to kick off. It's going to be a great time. I know you've got a ton of things that you've been looking at. You're so in depth into the college football scene. Who are you looking at strongly to win the SEC?
The team that I'm looking at, Joe, to win the SEC is going to be the Texas Longhorns. And they are the betting favorite, but sometimes, that's where I think the value is. And you look at this Texas team, and I know I've heard some college football media guys, and not that they're, off base necessarily, but they're talking about all the questions that Texas has. And I think they've got some new players, who've graduated to starting spots. But really the only question mark I think they have is that offensive line. They're replacing 4 starters. 2 of the new starters, though, Trevor Gooseby at left tackle and Cole Hudson at center, they'll be new starters, but they've started some football games, played at this level, so they're not really totally new. And then the rest of their roster's just ramped up. They're kind of at the point that Georgia, I think, has been at the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, and that their recruiting cycles have been so, just so strong that they're top 5 year after year, and they are clearly not reloading. Some concerns have been expressed about their wide receiver core. They'll be just as good at wide receiver. Ryan Wingo from St. Louis, Missouri, he'll probably step into that wide receiver 1 role. They've got a guy from Stanford, Emmett Mosley V, who really closed the season strong last year, big physical guy. They're going to be good at wide receiver again. Saw one publication defensively had Texas having the top defensive line, the top linebacking core, and the top secondary in the entire nation, which I think is a little bit over the top, but they're still going to be one of the best defenses in all of college football. Texas does have to play at Georgia. They are a 2.5-point underdog on the road in that game of the year lines. But other than that, they should be favored in all their games and all but one by double digits. I think Texas is going to win the Southeastern Conference at plus 300.
All right, we got some unfamiliar numbers, Paul, that I've seen recently for totals. Georgia, 9.5. Alabama, 9.5. LSU, 8.5. And I was going to throw Texas in there. I will. They're at 9.5 as well, although it is juiced to the over almost 2-1, at least on FanDuel. It's been a long time since we've seen Georgia and Alabama and Texas and LSU to have 4 losses in order to lose that over bet. I mean, is the SEC just that much getting better, or give me a team that we're used to seeing on top that might not be on top again this year?
I tell you, and I don't think they're going to fall very far because I've got them number 4 in my power ratings, so maybe this isn't the best example, but I don't think Georgia is quite as strong as they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And, of course, they were winning national championships then, so that's a heck of a standard to live up to year after year. But last year they just didn't have the wide receiver guys at the, to stretch the field vertically. The year before in 2023, they've got Brock Bowers, a generational tight end. They've got wide receiver Ladd McConkey. They had those kind of guys, and they just don't seem to have them right now. They're not quite as good this year, I don't think, on the offensive line and the defensive line as they have been. They had a ton of players drafted. I can't remember the number, 15 or 16 players drafted in the April NFL draft. Might have been an all-time record. So, you can only keep replacing those kind of guys for so long. I think they're going to take just a slight step back. It's not like they're going to lose 5 games, but I don't think they're going to be in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, we could definitely see a slight regression there. What about LSU? What are your hopes for them? Can they make the playoffs this upcoming season?
Well, Joe, I'm really bullish on LSU. So I've got a lot of chips on the table with the Bayou Bengals this year, and I really like what they did in the offseason. I think they were the team that won the transfer portal rankings. It used to be traditional recruiting, the signing of high school and junior college players was kind of where teams might improve their roster slightly because most of those guys weren't ready to play right away. With the transfer portal, though, you get guys who have started in some cases 3 or 4 years. Some of these guys are very talented. And LSU, they got the cream of the crop. They really bolstered their secondary where they were weak last year through the transfer portal. They also added defensive end Patrick Payton from Florida State, who gives them an immediate top-level SEC edge rusher. Jack Pyburn from Florida, another defensive end, comes in out of the transfer portal. So they've really gotten better on defense. Harold Perkins Jr., a hybrid defensive end linebacker, missed most of last year due to injury, is expected back. And then on offense, they've got quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, the second choice right now, I believe, in the Heisman Trophy odds behind Texas's Arch Manning. Added a guy from Kentucky, Berrien Brown, who will help them at wide receiver, but he'll certainly help them in the kickoff return game. He's returned 5 kickoffs for touchdowns in the last 3 seasons. So he's the best kickoff returner in all of college football. I not only like LSU to make the playoff at plus 125 or plus 130, but I also like LSU to go over their total of 8.5 regular season wins at about minus 135. They do have a tough schedule. Saw where one magazine had it rated as the 6th toughest in the nation. They're going to be an underdog in a very highly anticipated opener at Clemson, getting 3 points currently on August 30th there at Clemson. Be an underdog perhaps at Ole Miss in October, and then we'll certainly be an underdog at Alabama on November 8th. So they've got a really tough schedule, but I think they're going to win 9 games or more. I think they're going to win the playoff, really like LSU this year.
You got a surprise team in the SEC this year?
Not off the top of my head. I think it's, tough to, for a surprise team to emerge in the SEC just because there's so many strong teams at the top. The Big 12 and even the ACC, after Clemson, there's so much parity and hate to use the word mediocrity, but that's probably the correct usage there, that a team can emerge from the second half of the standings. But I don't think there's going to be a team that's just going to come out of nowhere and challenge for the league crown.
So, Paul, you're bullish on LSU, but what team are you really down on coming into the season that you expect to have some regression from last season and struggle this year?
Well, Georgia would be one team, and then another team, I think, and it's kind of relative, would be Vanderbilt. You know, they won their bowl game, I think, last year, went 7-6, and they're a very easy team to like with their energetic quarterback, Diego Pavia, leading the way. He made a proclamation in the offseason that kind of riled Alabama and some of his other competitors. I don't know if that's wise, but I think it's gonna be tougher this year for Vanderbilt than last year. They snuck up and beat Alabama as like 22-point underdogs last year. That got everybody's attention. I think in the offseason this year, preparing for this season, instead of just kind of bypassing Vanderbilt and chalking that up as a W, teams know now that they are, they've got some players. They don't have quite the interior offensive and defensive lines that some of their opponents do in the SEC. Certainly don't have the depth, but they've got a SEC type roster now. Their Clark Lee has developed, but I still think Vanderbilt takes a step back. I think if they could go 6-6 again in the regular season, a heck of an accomplishment. But I think they might be sub 500 regular season.
Paul, great job, man. If people want to find your work, where can they find you?
They can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Paul Stone Sports, and I also have a website, paulstonesports.org.
All right, paulstonesports.org and at Paul Stone Sports. Paul, great job, man. Hopefully we get a chance to do it again soon. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for having me. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk college football again soon.
You got it, man. Thanks, Paul. Cool.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Milwaukee. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, hour number one. Thanks again, Paul Stone Sports. Follow him on Twitter at Paul Stone Sports, as well as his website, paulstonesports.org. Always love, never too early to do a little college football with the SEC media days. I was surprised. I thought he was going to say, when I asked him about who might be a Cinderella team, it is true. When you talk SEC, this is not like the ACC or the Mountain West where it's no big deal. You take that as like who can really challenge for a national championship. But I thought maybe he would say South Carolina. I think South Carolina has a chance to be a halfway decent team with the quarterback coming back, the sophomore. So, excuse me. But Well, yeah, and right around the corner, college football. What do we got, about the 40 days or so before we get our first game in late August, Joe? I know you're a big college football fan. You're asking about Ohio State. He didn't give you the answer you were looking for, though, did he?
No, I thought Paul and I were friends, and then he told me Texas is going to roll over my Buckeyes, and yeah, we just instantly became unfriended on the commercial break there, Scott. So no, I think Paul is fantastic. I really appreciate his opinions there. But yeah, August 23rd will be our first game, noon Eastern, kicking off with Ohio State taking on Kansas State. Scott, I can hardly wait. I know in the next couple of weeks here, I'm going to be digging so deep into these win totals and looking at all of the different odds and everything we can jump into. I like to put out, a handful, maybe a couple more, over a handful for the whole season. I don't like to have too much money, but I definitely don't want to go into college football without having at least a handful of bets. What about you?
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard limiting yourself, right? Because then you got the NFL as well. So, and you got baseball heading into the postseason, which is a great time. So you want to have some money for that as well. It is difficult with college football and the NFL both starting. Which one, if there was a 50-50 bet, or not really a bet, but would you invest more, do you think, in the NFL futures or college football futures?
I almost feel like college football futures, and I'm not sure why. I think because there's just so many different opportunities to jump in college football. And I think you look at NFL and the next man up situation, we know with those quarterbacks is even harder than in college football. We find in college football, I really do think that next guy that comes up normally has more success. And look at some of these teams in the NFL. We have Trevor Lawrence go out, and then really who's going to step up for him, and the struggles that we see out of the NFL teams when they just really don't have a strong quarterback out there. So college football, I really like the futures a lot more, Scott.
Yeah, I'm just the opposite. That's where I make a good team. I would do the NFL a little bit more, just because to me, I know more about the NFL. I know college, but who knows? Is Arch Manning really going to be any good? Is Gunnar Stockton, the new quarterback at Georgia, really going to be any good? I mean, unless you're scouting these guys in high school, who's got time to do that? I know you know a little bit about Arch, but a lot of these things with the turnover and now the transfer portal and just new faces all over the place, it's tough. That's why I try and give the football season a good month. And really, you need it even more than that, because half the time they're playing a bunch of cupcakes and guys look like the greatest thing in the world, but then once they get into their conference schedule, it's a whole different story. So a lot of variables in college football. I enjoy it, but I'd probably go like a 70-30 split if you're going to split it up, 70% with the NFL and then 30% with college football. So there's another bet out there, Joe. We're touching on with baseball. We talked about the California versus the field. We're trying to get that answered for us, because if they messed up, then you could put a bet in there that you can't lose. One of the other ones is most wins in the month of July. Right now, the Red Sox have 11. We're at the All-Star break. Obviously, play resumes on Friday for these teams. Red Sox have 11, and that's a 2-game win lead, obviously, over Toronto and Milwaukee, who both have 9. Cubs and Royals have 8, and then there's a slew of teams that have 7. And I wouldn't go much lower than 7, because it's going to be tough to overtake the Red Sox with 11, right? Red Sox, they're giving you plus 235. They are the odds-on favorite. Problem with that bet is, and I'm a Red Sox fan, as we've mentioned many times, their second half schedule, for the rest of July anyway, is brutal. 3 against the first place Cubs on the road, 3 against the first place Phillies on the road, the Dodgers 3 against, and then 3 against Minnesota on the road. That's, what are they going to win out of those 12 games, honestly? Maybe 4, 5. I don't even really think they go 6-6. I really don't. I think you're looking at about 5 wins. 16 wins for the month of July, and that opens the door, Joe, for these other teams. And I'll give you your team, your Blue Jays, who I think is a pretty good bet, plus 365 right now. They have 9 wins, so they're 2 behind Boston. But here's the key for me with Toronto. They have 14 games. All other teams have 13 or less, and most have 12. Red Sox only 12, Cubs 12, Royals 12, Mets 12. You got to go down to the 7-win teams before you get to a team that has 13. So in essence, Toronto has 2 more games. And you look at their schedule, San Fran, decent team, but at home. Stanky's decent team, obviously, but that's at home. They play at Detroit. Won't be easy for only 3 games, though. And then, or 4 games, rather. And then at Baltimore, on the road. But Baltimore stinks. That's not a bad schedule, the way they're playing. Yeah. I mean, they could 8 wins, 8-4. Now all of a sudden they got 17 wins, and it's one more than the Red Sox.
It's a good schedule. My only fear is how many of those home games is Kevin Gosman going to pitch, because we know his struggles at home, Scott. And then Toronto was so hot going into the break. I just wonder what that time off is going to do for them. But I hear you having more games, more opportunities. I don't hate it. My mind automatically, as soon as I saw this list, you guys, and if you haven't looked on FanDuel, you have to go to win totals. I didn't know where it was going to be, Scott. I was frantically looking for that tab. But under the win totals was the Seattle Mariners. How far back are the Seattle Mariners from the Boston Red Sox? At plus 750? It's a nice price.
They have 7 wins, so they're 4 behind Boston. They got 13 games, though. That's one of the teams that does have 13 with 7. They play Houston at home, Milwaukee at home, at the Angels in a 4-game set, and then at Oakland. So if you could, make hay against Houston and Milwaukee at home at plus 750, there's another team I really like. We'll talk about that when we come back.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had 2 players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Closing out hour number 1. Cruising along here. Got a couple of WNBA games. We'll check the scores on those here in a sec. And then we get the second half of the Major League Baseball season, playing some props that you can find on some of these sites, including most wins for the month of July. We're midway through, obviously. Red Sox have a 2-game lead with 11, but we talked about it on the other side. Their schedule is brutal, and they interrupt things, as is the case with Toronto. So if you want to buy into the interruption hurting the Red Sox, I'm buying into more the schedule is tough. with Cubs and Phillies and Dodgers on there. And I think that opens the door for some other teams. We talked about Toronto, Joe. I'll give you another one. You like Seattle? How about Minnesota at 35-1? Now, the Twinkies right now have 7. So they're 4 games behind. That's tough to make up, and you got to leapfrog a bunch of teams, right? But that's okay. Their schedule, this is what's enticing. 12 games only, so they don't even have 13, let alone 14 like Toronto has. But they play at Colorado, right? Let's say they can get a 3-game sweep there. Then they have a tough series at the Dodgers, but let's just say they can get 1. I'll go worst case scenario. They get 1. Now they're 4-2. Now they're up to 11. Then they close out at home against Washington, which sucks, and Boston, which at that point is probably going to be, the mediocre Red Sox and no longer red hot like they are right now. So if they can go, 2-1 or 3-0 against Colorado, 1-2, that's 4-2, sweep Washington, that's 7-2, and take 2 out of 3 against Boston, that's 9-3. That's 9 wins. They're up to 16. At 35-1, I think that's worth a crack with their schedule.
Oh, it absolutely is. I was just looking at the Dodgers schedule to see who they had on either side of the Minnesota Twins. So they play the Milwaukee Brewers before they play the Twins, and then they play the Boston Red Sox after playing the Twins. So I always love looking at those schedules, Scott. I do think they have every ability, the Twins, at plus 3,500. Definitely worth a sprinkle.
What? You know what? I didn't write the Dodgers number down. Where are they? Do you know? As far as they don't have that many wins. That's the problem. You know what? That's right, because they had that 7-game losing streak. So they probably only have 3 or 4 wins in the month of July. I will tell you here. Yeah, they have.
Let's go, Scott.
Yeah, I know. I should have all this. It should be at the top of my head, right? They have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 5 wins. Yeah, so that's not.
Okay.
They can win all of them. They probably not get it. So. All right. So maybe, like I said, you want a little flyer? I like Toronto at plus 365. That's a halfway decent number. And because you got 2 more games than everybody else, and I don't think the Red Sox are going to continue to play they are. I give Toronto a better chance to continue to play the way they're playing than the Red Sox when you look at that schedule. And then I take a little flyer on Minnesota. Who knows? Maybe they take 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers struggles continue after the All-Star break. So at 35-1, I know they got a lot of teams to overtake, but that's not bad. I like those bets. I didn't see that at the beginning of the month. Maybe it was there. I don't know. I don't think they're just doing it now because it's the All-Star break. But, I like the season bets, Joe, but who wants to, wait all year for the season to cash? Whereas if you do it by the month, it's actually pretty good.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And I swear, FanDuel must have been listening to you, Scott, because this is something that you brought up probably like right around a month ago, saying like, why can't we just bet these monthly bets? And now here it is. I've never seen it. So I'm super excited. I'm going to put some money on the Seattle Mariners at plus 750. And then the Minnesota Twins, you've completely sold me on them. So at plus 3,500, I'm definitely going to put a half a unit on both of those.
All right, we got one more here we'll throw at you. First-time World Series winner. There's only been 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only been 5 teams that have never won a World Series. Believe it or not, I would have guessed more. But it's Colorado, Milwaukee, Tampa Bay, Seattle, San Diego. All the other teams have won at least 1 World Series. So even the Miami Marlins. So if you bet yes, it's going to be one of those 5 that I mentioned. Colorado, Milwaukee, Tampa Bay, Seattle, San Diego. And obviously it's not going to be Colorado. It's plus 790. But really the question is, would you lay minus 15-1 on the no?
No.
No. No.
No, because knowing Mama, the Padres will come out of nowhere and take it all. Right?
That's the one. That's the team. I'm not worried about Milwaukee. Great season so far. Not worried about Tampa Bay. Seattle, not bad. But San Diego would be the one that would kill us, right? Yeah.
It would.
Probably not worth it. Still enticing. All right, Adam Kaufman will join us next. Hour number 2 coming up.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good. And they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee is bad. I had to put my glasses on. Milwaukee. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganzas. We take it at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We do have WNBA. We got a bunch of things that we've been talking, a little baseball props. We'll get back into that. We got the British Open or the Open Championship starting here in a little bit. Let me just update the scores here for the WNBA because we got some plays out. Liberty leading Indiana now 76-59, 17-point lead. No Caitlin Clark, line of 17.5, early fourth quarter. 168.5 is the number there. And then at the half, Las Vegas leads at Dallas 47-41. Pretty competitive. That's 8.5 up for the 6.5 it was to start the game, but still halfway decent. Over-under is 174.5 on that one. So we'll get back to that in a little bit. Let's welcome in our next guest, talk a little baseball, second half. And I want to get his thoughts on our pullover side of the road bet here with FanDuel. Mr. Adam Kaufman, SportsGrid Radio TV host, you see it here all the time. Adam, you got your FanDuel, your account open there?
I do, yeah.
All right, do me a favor. Go to MLB. Sure. All right, go to MLB.
MLB,
then hit,
on it.
Okay, hit World Series icon.
World Series, got it, yep.
All right. Then scroll down and see World Series winning state. Hit
winning
that.
State. That's a fun market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got that?
I'm in it. I see it. Yep.
All right.
A lot of plus money.
Right. First two guesses or bets, it says pick California. And this is, for those that don't know, you get to pick the state in which the World Series winner will come from. So if you take California, you got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, you got the Giants, you got the Angels, you got the A's, right? So you could bet that, Adam, at plus 175. Right underneath that is any other state plus Washington, D.C., and Canada. And then underneath that are about 7 or 8 other states. New York for Mets and Yankees, Illinois, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the question. When you see the California and then you see the any other state underneath that, how do you interpret that any other state bet? Does that include New York, Pennsylvania, Texas?
Yeah, I take that. Yeah, it's like, to me, it's like when you're betting, you're in the golf market and you're betting to win minus Scotty Scheffler or minus Scotty and Rory, that kind of thing. You're betting anybody other than any other state, Washington, D.C. or California, after or Canada after California. Yeah, that's, huh. Well, all right, you got me thinking now. Because let's say if you're removing every state that it lists here,
except California.
I mean, like that, right? I mean, this is. Forgive me for a second. I realize this is terrible television or radio, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You're saying so that it, in theory, by making that bet, you are only betting, one of 11 teams remaining across Major League Baseball. That to me doesn't seem like a proper number at plus 270. Right. So I don't that to me would be wildly mispriced when you're taking out. I mean, look at all the teams that you're taking out. I mean, you mentioned all the California teams. You're taking out both New York teams. You're taking out the Phillies. You're taking out the Astros. You're taking out, the Cubs. That's, I don't know. But do people have that much conviction in teams like the Red Sox to get hot that you want to bet at plus 270 just to have exposure to Boston and 10 other teams? It's odd. It's odd to me.
Well, and then here's the real reason we bring it up, because let's say we're right, and Joe thought the same thing, I thought the same thing, so I think we're all saying the same thing, that any other state does not include, or does include, New York, Pennsylvania. Those are just listed separately. So if you bet $75 at plus 270 and you win your bet, you're going to win $202. If you bet now $100 on California at plus 175, you're going to win $175. You can't lose.
You're trying to arbitrage the thing is what you're saying?
Yeah, you can't lose. Because you're either going to win 175 minus the $100 bet you lost, you're going to win 75, or you're going to win 200 minus the $100 bet you're betting on California, and you're winning $100.
And yeah, it's 0, then you're having a day.
So
take out the mortgage payment.
I'm
just taking a look at the AL standings right now. So I mean, you're
Seattle.
You are in theory you are exposing yourself to Toronto, the Red Sox, the Tigers, right?
Not if that's included in the any other state.
But what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is I don't think we are seeing it the same way. I think that FanDuel is pricing your plus 270 at the 11 options that are not listed here. I don't think it's any state other than California. Right, it's 11. It's 11, but I don't.
You're talking about Seattle, right? That Seattle, Washington, I think is the only team that would not be.
No, it says any other state, Washington D.C. or Canada. And so so this is giving you exposure to, in terms of teams that are good this year, to the Blue Jays, to the Red Sox, to the Tigers, to the Mariners, to I'm just scrolling the board here. The Brewers, right, are not on that list. So it's basically you're getting plus you're getting plus 270 for one of 6 of 11 good teams to win. No, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's any state other than California because, and look, you'll know for sure as, this market's not going anywhere tomorrow or in the next 2 days. Check it a week from now when the odds look different and you see maybe, the Yankees or Mets get hot in that New York market or Philly market, Pennsylvania. I mean, those climb up the board a little bit and suddenly you're seeing any other state, Washington, D.C. and Canada sitting at, plus 400 or something like that. I think that's what it is. I think this is one of 11 where about a half dozen have a, contending chance. I think that's what we're looking at.
All right. I thought it was just California and then every other state.
No, I think it looks that way, and that's where my head went initially, just because of the way it's ordered with the odds, obviously. With California, but I think the only reason California is first is because, again, it encompasses the Dodgers, the Giants, Padres. And the Dodgers, obviously, by themselves are roughly 2.5 to 1 favorites to win the World Series. So if you're going to put them and another team or two that are pretty good, you have to make it below 2 to 1, which is why we get the plus 175.
Okay, so Adam, are you looking at those California teams and thinking one of them actually can win it?
Well, of course. I mean, the Dodgers did win the World Series last year. There's no reason to believe they can't do it again. I mean, the biggest concern, obviously, for them is health. they've had a bunch of injuries and even still have sustained a good level of performance this year. They're sitting at 58-39 as we speak right now. I was reading some articles earlier. It seems like, ironically, it's not necessarily the first team that you would think of, but some of the biggest sportsbook liabilities out there, depending on the book that you're talking about, are actually the Giants, who, are sitting 6 games behind the Dodgers right now and, right in the mix, obviously, for a wild card position. But man, this is not a market that I want to bet, to be honest with you. I think there is, especially if I'm seeing it correctly, to where you're only with that second option getting 11 teams exposed to you. It'd be one thing if we could bet this, like, take out California and it's anyone else, like you guys were talking about. If that's not what it is, I think there are way too many dominoes at play. Never mind the fact that we're only sitting 2 weeks away from the MLB trade deadline, and who knows what can happen at that point in terms of who's a buyer and who's a seller.
Yeah. Adam, good job. That was quick. Appreciate a couple minutes with you tonight. We'll do it again soon. Thanks.
You bet.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back to In-Game Live. Game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe cruising along hour number 2. Right, so we figured it out. It's just not worded. You know, the one team we did forget about that bet, Joe, was Detroit too. So it's more than just Seattle, Milwaukee. Detroit is the one that's keeping that so low since they have the best record. So it probably does mean all those other states are not included. So, but still, it's not worded right. And I know a lot of people, like the three of us, all thought initially, okay, it's California or the field. I'll take the field. So people know how to make that bet, thinking they're getting all those other teams outside of those California teams, but in reality, they are not. So Anyway, we'll put the baseball aside, hour plus in, and we not mentioned the Open Championship, which begins tomorrow morning in just a few hours, actually. So with that, let us welcome in our golfing aficionado, Mr. Brady Cannon, SportsGrid radio TV host you see and hear all the time here on the grid. What's going on, Brady? How are you tonight?
Hey, Scott and Joe, good to be with you. Yeah, we are about 4 hours away from the first ball being hit by former champion Padraig Harrington at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland. So it's time to, take a quick nap after the show, guys, and, stay up the rest of the night. Get the coffee brewing. Let's go. It's time for the Open.
I love it, Brady. What can you tell us about this course? What should bettors know going in?
I think it's going to be a great golf course, and now is probably about as late as you can wait if you're going to do anything pre-tournament to try and figure out exactly what the weather's going to do. The golf course is relatively narrow as far as the fairways, but there is some generosity in that first cut of rough area. That first cut's only about 2 inches, not going to be that penal, but if you miss that, then you're in the stuff, and that's where you don't want to be. We know the British Open, the heather, the fescue grasses, and all that stuff, and we're going to see some people in those grasses probably throughout the week, and that's why I think accuracy is a strength over distance this week. This course is pretty long, 7,400 yards, par 71. But again, I think it's going to pay dividends to be in the fairway rather than, God knows where and blasting it out there 400 yards or something like that. I think your accuracy is going to prevail here. You're going to have to hit greens and regulations. These greens are pretty small. By tour standards, they are well below average size. They have a lot of humps and bumps in them. So hitting these greens in regulation is going to be very difficult. And when you miss them, getting up and down and scrambling from around the greens is going to be paramount. That's, this is such a good design, this golf course. Like any good major championship venue, it's going to make you do everything well. You can't just necessarily be a one-trick pony. You've got to really have a well-rounded game, I believe, to win the Open Championship at Royal Portrush.
Sounds like a Scotty Scheffler ticket to me.
Yeah.
Plus 450.
Right.
He's the odds-on favorite. Is that high enough for you?
No, it's not. I've seen as high. I've seen as high as 6 out there. I think 450 is about the low water mark. I would say
it's on FanDuel now.
Right. I think, better than plus 550 is probably about the consensus number. Maybe you can find a rogue 6 out there somewhere, but, and I don't think plus 550 is such a bad price. Lower than that, I don't really want to mess around. People talk Scotty Scheffler, this is his worst major. He's made all 4 cuts, and he's finished top 10 twice. I mean, that's not exactly a lousy track record at the British Open, and he's going to crack the code one of these days. This course does play into his strengths a little bit, I believe. He is definitely long off the tee and accurate. He's the best ball striker in the field. He hits more greens in regulation than anybody else. And you guys are used to seeing the Open Championship where these courses are, the mounds and the dunes and guys run the ball up, from 100 yards out, or they might putt it from 50 yards off the green. That's not going to be as popular this week because you do have a handful of holes on here where the greens are elevated. Also, a little bit of moisture in the forecast that could, take away some of those runouts where the ball just runs on that grass forever. But some of these greens, you're going to have to come in with an aerial attack and not be able to play a bump and run on the ground. And that plays into a guy's hands like Scotty Scheffler. So I have him in a head-to-head matchup to beat Rory, Scott. I laid minus 160 on Scheffler to beat Rory. I don't really think either one of them are going to win this week. I think they'll both. I think Scotty's a real good bet for a top 10 finish. I'm not sure about Rory. He missed the cut here last year, and there's all this talk. It's his home course. He grew up around here. He shot the course record when he was 16. But Scott, when you're on your home course and the whole world is watching you, and it comes with all those expectations that you're supposed to just, whitewash the field here because this place better than anybody else. Well, what happened to him last year, the first day, or in 2019 rather, when they were here at Portrush? He shot 79 and he missed the cut. So and with winning the Masters this year and the career Grand Slam, I feel there is so much satisfaction with him in his golf career. I don't know how this is going to work for him. I'm not worried about Scotty. I think he'll be right there where he usually is, probably finish somewhere around 6th.
Brady, I've got to ask though where Scotty's head is at, because I come down this morning, I've got my coffee in hand. I never turn on the TV. I turned on the TV and it was Scotty on the TV saying, what's the whole point? You win one, and then 2 minutes later, you're trying to work out what you're having for dinner that night. It was a really different interview that I saw out of him today, and I was kind of shocked, and it made me just terrified to put any kind of money on Scotty, because I don't know if his head's there. Brady, did you see that interview, and will you take that into account if you didn't?
Yes and yes. I saw that interview, and I absolutely loved it. The guy is so brutally honest. And I think we can relate to what he was saying a little bit. He is so darn competitive. Let's not read this the wrong way. He was asking, I battle with myself. Why do I want to win this so badly? And then I'm elated for a few minutes, and then I got to worry about my kid and what's for dinner. He sounds so human, but he's also transcendent as far as how good he is. And when he steps on that first tee this morning, tonight, whatever you want to call it, he's a cold-blooded killer. I'm not worried about him. So I thought that interview was refreshing, and I'm not worried about his competitive level. I think, again, he loves what he does here. And I understood what he was saying. I don't think there's a lack of focus. Like I said, Rory's the one I kind of wonder what's in his head a little more so.
All right, we'll take a quick little break. If you can hold on, we'll get your thoughts on who you think that is going to win, if not Scheffler and if not Rory McIlroy. Talking with our good buddy Brady Cannon right here on the grid. More coming up.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott, Joe, hour number 2. Talk with Brady Cannon about the Open Championship, which literally begins in about 4 hours or so. Let me quickly update before we get back to Brady the WNBA games that we got some shekels on. Right now, we are in the fourth quarter in the first game, which started around 7:30 or so. Finishing up, final minute, Liberty's going to win and cover, 98-77. Game's going to go over, but no Caitlin Clark, and it showed for Indiana tonight, and playing the back end of 2 games in 2 nights doing in the fever tonight. So Liberty by 21. Looks like that one's a final now, actually, 98-77. And then we got another blowout. A little surprised with this one. Las Vegas 72-50 over Dallas. Final seconds of the third quarter there. 6-point favorite to begin. Now it's up to 18.5, and the over-under is 165.5. That one's on pace to go over. That was actually slightly under the 170, but 2 blowouts in the NBA. So back to Brady and Joe here, guys. So Brady, you don't like the odds anyway on Scheffler, and it doesn't sound like you like McIlroy. So where are we putting our shekels on to win the Open Championship today?
Well, I went to the very next guy with John Rahm, and I got him at 14-1. I think anything double digits is pretty good. 12-1 or better, I think, is very good. He was brilliant at the U.S. Open. He just couldn't make a putt. He ranked 4th in that field for strokes gained tee to green. So from the tee to the green, he was one of the best players in the entire field. He just couldn't hold a putt, and that really – he still finished 7th, even with losing a lot of strokes to the field with the putter. But he is a good putter, and so I expect that to change. He has tremendous history on links courses. He's won the Irish Open a couple times. He's finished runner-up at Royal Liverpool in the Open Championship just a couple years ago. I think he's the second best player in the world to Scotty, followed very closely by Rory. But I think Rahm is that guy right now, and I expect him to make a real charge once again. Then I went down with another, I'm all over the map as far as I've got Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, a little bit of everything here. John Rahm, of course, a Spaniard, but another live guy and an Englishman, Tyrrell Hatton, who finished 4th at the U.S. Open, finished 6th here in 2019 at Portrush when they had the Open there last when Shane Lowry won. I think he's in great form as of late. I think he's a great shot to win this thing. I think he might be ready to bag his first major. And then I went with Robert McIntyre, the Scotsman, who was won on courses designed by this same gentleman who designed this course, Harry Colt, with a redesign by Martin Ebert. McIntyre has been very successful on courses constructed by those 2 gentlemen. Just finished runner-up at the U.S. Open last month, and good in the weather, good in the elements, from Scotland. He knows how to get this done. Got him at 36-1. And then I went with Jordan Spieth, guys. Let's not count out the American Jordan Spieth, who won this championship in 2017, finished runner-up in 2021. Over the last 10 years, he is the best player in the world at the Open Championship. Got him at 50-1, which is a lousy number. You can find him closer to 65 or something like that. Jason Day, I took at 80-1. The Australian has been outstanding in this championship, a runner-up 2 years ago at Royal Liverpool, playing very good golf, playing his best golf in the biggest tournaments this year. Ryan Fox, I played at 85-1. This will be his 9th British Open, has won on links courses before, now a 2-time winner recently on the PGA Tour. And by the way, the last time he was here, his best ever finish at the Open when he took 16th here in 2019. And then a long bomb for you guys. If you've got an extra 5 buckets scratching a hole in your pocket there, at 400-1, the Canadian from your parts, Joe, Mackenzie Hughes. And, I could see him being 250-1, 225, maybe even there's an argument for him being 300-1. This guy's a really good player, top 75 player in the world, number 1 in this field for scrambling. He can get his ball up and down from anywhere, and he's 400-1. So I had to take a little shot with him and also played him for a top 40 finish and also first round leader.
Oh, I like it that you've included him for the top 40 as well. So if people are putting in 2 bets only, what would be your 2 top bets?
I like Tyrrell. Let me give you 3 outrights. I'll go right off the top. Rahm, Hatton, and Spieth. John Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, and Spieth. I like those 3 shots. You can maybe mix in Bob McIntyre in there. I like Jordan Spieth in a head-to-head matchup over Justin Rose. And then my first-round leader plays Fleetwood, Aaron Rai, Thorbjorn Olesen, Matty Schmid, and our friend Mackenzie Hughes.
Going to get a hole in one, minus 125?
I'm going to say yes. I'd play the favorite there. Yeah. The par 3s are long here, but I think the odds
get a hole in one on par 4s with the way this course plays. Brady, great job, man. We'll do it again soon.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had two players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good. And they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Milwaukee. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Brady Cannon, for joining us, as he does all the time, talking a little Open Championship. Joe and I will give our picks here in a second. Let me just update the WNBA action. We got one game already. Well, actually, from earlier today, a lot of games in the books, as we mentioned. They play a lot of afternoon games in the summertime, which is actually pretty good. Lets the kids go to the games, I imagine. So earlier today, it was Storm beating Golden State 67-58. The one tonight, Liberty, we told you, knocked off the Fever 98-77. No Caitlin Clark. We'll see if she plays in the All-Star game. Minnesota beat the Phoenix by 13, covering the spread 79-66. I think there was a 10-point spread there. We had the Chicago Sky get blasted at home. That was an ugly game. 86-49. Oh, man. Okay, and then the Aces, nothing but blowouts today. I'll tell you what, Aces lead Dallas 72-55. So one game was decided by 21, the other by a mere 9, then by 13, then by 37, and the last game was a 17-point game so far. So not exactly the best the WA can offer. They finally got a day, Joe, where it's all them. That's all anybody can bet on realistically tonight. You want to do NBA Summer League, I suppose, but we'll leave that for the real crazies. And they basically, the WNBA lays an egg. What are you going to do? All blowouts. And no Caitlin Clark. You couldn't have picked like a worse day for the WNBA than today.
Well, I got to tell you, Asia Wilson already has 29 points, Scott. I know that's part of your same game parlay.
Nice.
I've got her for the assist. She's only got 2 so far. I need one more. Actually, one more for the parlay. But what other legs did you have? We got points coming in.
Yeah, well, I had Dallas plus the 6. So unless there's a crazy comeback. You never know, but how's Paige Becker's doing?
Only 11 points so far. Wow.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed in that. So I need her to get 20. So I need 9 more out of her. I need Dallas to make the big comeback, which would coincide with her getting a bunch of points.
Mm-hmm.
Does she have a 3 at least? Can I get that out of the way? She does not have a 3. 0 for 3. That's a loser. How about Chelsea Gray? Does she have a 3? She doesn't have a 3. Yeah, I hit one last night, 23-1, Joe. I ran out of gas today. Clearly, I clearly ran out of gas from last year.
I saw that 29 points and I was super excited, right? Like her coming out so nice and strong. I was thinking your parlay was going to be rolling. I need the points to come raining in. I need Paige to get on the board as well, Scott, because I'm with you, but I've got Wilson's assists. So I've got her over 2.5. She's at 2. So we'll see. There's time left in this game. 8 minutes left in the fourth.
You never know. Never know. Make a nice little comeback here. All right, back to the Open Championship here. So I'm going to take Scotty Scheffler. FanDuel has it at plus 450. Brady was saying that, some 550s, maybe even 6-1s are out there. If that's the case, obviously shop around a little bit. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa as well at 33-1. Guy's been firing his caddy left and right. That shows me he cares. Give me a guy who cares. Not that the others don't, but, if the guy's firing his caddy 12 times so ready to see her, exaggeration, I know, but he's always on the leaderboard. He's always in top 10. There's one thing, he's got to make the cut. He'll be on the leaderboard. I'll have a dog in the fight come Sunday morning. So, Scheffler, you want to give me at 4.5-1, 5.5-1? I'll grab him. Best tennis player in the world, Joe. And Morikawa as a long shot. I won't give like 12 guys like some of these guys do. Those are the two. Simple as that. Who do you like?
Okay, I love where you're going. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele to make the top 20. He's been able to do this in, 13 of his last 14, hitting that top 20 market, and it's plus 100. I do think he can come out strong, but I also love these tourney specials that we're getting over on FanDuel. I think Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to finish in the top 10, including ties. So that's coming in at plus 170 right now on FanDuel. I think that is a great way to go. And then I love how Brady gave us John Rahm, but I do think between John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Tommy Fleetwood, they all can finish in the top 20. For all three of them to finish in the top 20, Scott, it's plus 500. So I'm betting those three.
All right. How about a hole in one? I'm going yes, Joe. We got 150 golfers in this thing. There's 4 par 3s, so that is 150 times 4. We'll just round it off. That's 600 shots every single day. Well, you got to make the cut, but 600 day. Tomorrow 600. That's 1,200. You got to get. How many guys make the cut? Another 70 guys. You got to get about 2,000 shots at a hole in one. With the best golfers in the world. Give me the yes at minus 125. I can hit a hole in one if I got 2,000 shots at it, right?
Could you? Because I couldn't. Scott, that ball's going backwards. It's going sideways. It's going nowhere other than away from that hole. But I agree. These golfers can come out nice and strong. And I do think minus 125. I'm shocked it's not minus 150.
Yeah. All right. How about will there be a playoff plus 370? You and I host In-Game Live every Sunday, and my goodness, it seems like every single Sunday there's a playoff this year. I meant to count them up. But I just know there's been a ton, so maybe it's just a goofy year. You want to give me plus 370? Have a bunch of guys at the top of the leaderboard? I think it's got a halfway shot at that.
Oh, so do I. I love where you're going there. Do you think anyone can have a bogey-free round one? Because if you think Scotty can, it's plus 1,000. Rory's coming in at plus 13. John Rahm, plus 14. I don't know, Scott. Might be like a
You know what? I combined 3, 4 actually.
Okay.
Three. They let you to combine guys. So I got 3 dogs in a fight. I got Schauffele. I got Morikawa. I told you I think he's going to win. And then Scheffler. Any one of the 3 to have a bogey-free round plus 340. It's not easy having a bogey-free round. It isn't. But those are the 3 of the best golfers in the world. I'll take my chances. One of them comes through.
Oh, I love it. Where are you seeing that for them to have a bogey-free round at any point, Scott, on FanDuel? Because I'm only getting the bogey first round.
How about oh yeah, that is at first round. I'm sorry, did I not say that first round? Any 3 in the first round. Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. Oh, I love it.
So
it's a great bet.
All right. How about this one? Now, how's that? I want to ask Cam this when he comes on, who's coming on in a couple minutes. How is this not going to cash? Scheffler, Rahm, Schauffele, and Fleetwood all to make the cut at basically pick 'em odds, minus 113.
Oh, it has to.
Now, how is that not going to cash you?
If someone gets sick and doesn't finish day one, it's the only way. Right? Otherwise, they're all making the cut. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm in.
Here's the tricky thing too. You got to, you got to shop around, right? Even on, we say this all the time, even on the same site that you're on, you got to shop around. They actually offer that. Like they offer there the Schauffele, Morikawa, Scheffler, all bogey free. Combine them. They offer that. Will those 4 guys all make the cut? And it's minus 140. And I said, let me just add a blanks and giggles. Let me put them in individually. You could bet them as a group, or you could bet a bunch of guys individually. I said, let me put these 4 in individually and see what the odds are. And lo and behold, it went from 140 to actually minus 113. So just put these 4 in individually, and you're going to get better odds versus putting them in as a group. You know what I mean? That group bet. So
yeah, I love it. Way to go, Scott. You're always finding how to save us a couple of things on either side, right?
Yeah, you do. You gotta just it's right there, so you might as well just do it. So, all right, last one before we bring Cam on. Number of birdies in the first round. Rory McIlroy under 4.5. Little juice minus 150, but I'm betting against him. I don't think he gets 5 birdies in the first round. That's a lot of birdies.
It really is. I'd go under. I like where you're going with that.
Yeah.
The last one.
Scotty Scheffler over 4.5 birdies, plus 110. I do like that. We'll get Cam thoughts when we come back.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had 2 players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax fallout there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. So Joe and I got our Open Championship bets in. First guy teeing off in about 4 hours or so. Let us welcome in Cam Stewart, golfing aficionado number 2 here. Not necessarily in that order, but we had Brady Cannon on a little bit earlier. We got Cam Stewart on right now. Cam, how's that one play that I gave out not going to cash? I love these guys to make the cut, not to make the cut. Scheffler, Rahm, Schauffele, Fleetwood. I mean, they're not going to all make the cut.
I love it. And you're paying pick'em juice. It's like betting a baseball game at a pick'em, $1.13. I love it, Scott. Like the one thing I will warn people of in this tournament, though, is weather. You know what I mean? You got to watch this stuff. I think live betting is going to be absolutely crucial because things here, they turn on a dime. Like I watched the Scottish Open last week. Winds can blow in 5 to 10 minutes. Things change, right? But it can get really wild over here. So great live betting opportunities. Like you could have a guy who's finished, say he just shoots like 3 under. He's finished, and then all of a sudden the winds start up and the best score could be +2 or 3. And he gains like 6 strokes on the field. It could happen. And it happens very, very quickly. So if that's what you look at, you look at the weather conditions and you can make some predictions. But live betting these tournaments overseas is a really smart way to go. Scott, I love your play. By the way, I think all of those guys could finish in the top 20 as well. If you had a parlay with all those guys, the top 20, the guys that Scott said, I think Rom is an absolute, I don't use the L word, but almost a lock. Schauffele, I like to win the tournament, Scott. So at 20, yes. Fleetwood, he might not win, but he'll be there. And who's your other guy? Basically,
Scheffler.
You had McIlroy and Scheffler. Yeah,
no, Scheffler. I kept McIlroy out of it. I don't trust him at all.
I do. I would add it to plus money in that parlay. Yeah. I definitely do. If you gave me a choice, though, and you said you could have one guy, Rory or Scheffler, I will take Scheffler this week. I think Scheffler is it's a perfect storm for him. He didn't play well last week. I think he's motivated. He finished 8th. Rory has a lot of pressure in him. Let's remember one thing. He's got the career Grand Slam now, but you're playing in Ireland in front of Irish fans, a lot of pressure there. Like it's going to get really interesting with him. And the one problem, and what didn't show in Scotland, when that guy's loose with his driver, you're dead at this course. Like Scotland last week got out of a lot of trouble because the heather was very thin. It was the weather was hot and it kind of like baked out the course. Here, it's a little more lush. If you get like in these bad lies, you're dead. Like you're absolutely dead. So you have to be very, very careful. And that's one thing about Rory. Despite having power, he sprays the ball a lot. So he could be, I still think he'll do well, Scott. And Joe, I think he'll finish top 10. But like, you know what I mean? We can't bet everybody in the tournament. I've kind of lowered my card. I'm going to have a lot of live betting this week due to the weather.
Okay, so going into it, Cam, where are you going to put your money for outright winners?
Well, let's go right now. We'll give you a 3-pack on this show. Stay tuned. The great Brady. By the way, Brady Cannon's better than me at picking golf winners. This guy's picking guys at 200 to 1 that win. But he'll be on our show with Gabe at the top of the hour, 10 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have open bets galore. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele. He's the defending champion here. I love what he did in Scotland last week. And he didn't even putt well, and he was still finished 8th. I think this guy is lethal. I think he drives the ball straight. And if he's putting average, he will be there. If he's putting great, he'll win. 25 to 1. You're looking at other guys, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1. I think Schauffele is a great price. Tyrell Hatton, I found a 33 to 1 on FanDuel. This guy's won the Alfred Dunhill Links, many tournaments on the DP World Tour, loves his style of golf, almost won the U.S. Open. He had one bad hole, 33 to 1. This one's courtesy of Stewart and Stewart Connections, me and Keith Stewart. Matt Fitzpatrick, we had him last week. He finished 4th. He almost won the Scottish Open. He had a couple bad holes, and I'm like, this guy can get it around. Very good short game. Gets up and down from everywhere and usually hits the ball straight. His putting, sometimes he gets in his own head. That's what I worry about this kid. Don't be so hard on yourself. 55 to 1's a great price. Now, what are we doing here with this stuff? I like, what's this, Colin Morikawa, first-round leader? Damn right. I can't get off this train. And Scott, you brought up a very good point. Everybody and their mother's off Morikawa this week. He has won an Open Championship. People are talking about the new caddy, whatever. He's got Billy Foster on the bag. The guy's one of the best caddies in the world. Nobody is talking about Colin Morikawa, but this course is perfect for his game. He's got to get it up here and stay focused. You're going to have some bad holes. Tommy Fleetwood, he's a quarter horse. He's always out of the gate on Thursday. Can he maintain it for 4 rounds? We think he could be there, but I'll take him at 45 to 1. Wyndham Clark, you'll beat up your hey, don't bring him over to your house. You might ruin your furniture with a golf club, put a hole through your TV. The guy's a little bit of a psychopath, but at 80 to 1, great opening bets. This guy loves coming out hot. He was great in Scotland, but he faded on Sunday. Guys, best bets. Joe, you talked about this. Scotty Scheffler for a top 5 is plus 130. If you want to be a little bit safer, he is minus 150, including ties, on a site that I found. I got him at 130. The line has been bet up to 150. If you find him anything under minus 180 for a top 10, I would nail it. In my opinion, I don't think there's any way he doesn't finish outside the top 10, maybe 11th, but like that's a bet to me that I love. John Rahm, top 10, plus 125. A lot of people respect him, like him to win outright. I'll just take the top 10 at plus 125, and I'll sprinkle on that. But I love him for a top 10. Now we're going to go with top 20, Sepp Straka. This guy, very, very solid. Didn't even play his great golf in Scotland. He still finished in the top 20 with double bogeys. Like, if this guy minimizes damage, he can win this tournament. Plus 180. And an old friend, Who gets it around? No respect. Just plots his way. D. Christian Bazoutenhout. You say that 3 times. Christian Bazoutenhout. Plus 160 for a top 40. Tough name. Good golfer from South Africa. I also like him in the South African market, but we're not going to screw around. Plus 160. I got matchup bets for you, too. Do I love New Jersey? Yes. Do I love the guys at SportsGrid? Yes. I've been betting Chris Gotterup my whole damn life, and then the guy wins in Scotland, not in the United States. Go figure. But Jordan Spieth is coming off an injury, minus 125, 72-hole matchup bet versus Chris Gotterup. Sign me up. I'm going with little man Spieth. He loves this tournament, and hopefully his injuries are cleared. But that's the thing. I don't know what Gotterup's doing. Scott, he's a young guy. Is he partying? Is he ready to go? I'll just tell you one thing. He played great in Scotland. It's really hard to back it up, especially when you get your biggest win of your career. So I'm going to take Jordan Spieth laying a quarter against Gotterup in a matchup bet.
We got a hole-in-one coming with us? We got about 2,000 shots.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like at this course. I'm not down with the hole-in-one at all. Like at the Players Championship, yes. I don't know. Like I don't know, man. It's like links golf's kind of weird, you know. Like it's different. Like at the Players, I know they're gonna put the pin position there to roll down the hill. Will there be a hole-in-one? Odds will say there'll probably be 1 or 2, but there's certain tournaments that I know flags and pin placements. This one I have no idea. So I'm not. Scott, I got enough problems. Have you seen my card? That's like 1/4 of my card. I don't need to bet any hole-in-one.
If I gave you 2,000 chances to get a hole-in-one, same hole, could you get it done?
No, and you're talking about you could. Scott, enough.
Yes,
enough. You are not a professional golfer. You're a radio and television host. You are not a professional golfer.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong is the first time the Cubs have ever had 2 players reach 25 home runs before the team's 95th game. I thought that was a stunningly odd statistic that you would have just thought, well, the Cubs, storied franchise, all these big superstars that they've had, and even superstar tandems, they've never been this good, and they continue to be that, man. They are just continuing to hammer the baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, what an incredible trade that's worked out to be for the Chicago Cubs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Online casino expansion in the U.S. is extremely slow, a lot slower than I think we all would have thought, 5 years ago as sports betting took off. But you're going to start to see, I think, next year, a few more states kind of trickle into this. On top of Maine, you had Illinois kind of talk about it. Governor J.B. Pritzker pitched it as an idea to help cut down the budget deficit. Of course, we've got a weird tax law out there.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There are better opportunities out there for LeBron than the Lakers if this is how the Lakers are going to operate.
They really put Milwaukee as bad. I had to put my glasses on. Giannis may not be there. I'll tell you right now. New York!
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Wrapping up shop thanks to Cam and Gabe. At the top of the hour, they'll take you over the next 2 on SportsGrid Radio and SportsGrid TV. And no doubt have plenty more of Open Golf Championship bets. It is funny how many bets these golfing bettors put in. I put in a couple. These guys will put in 100 bets on one tournament. It's crazy. Fickleness of gambling here, Joe, and we're going to get to Joe's CFL picks here in a second for tomorrow's action. But Left 4 Dead moments ago, Dallas has stormed back. You said it. You know, you gave him a shot here. I really didn't, but I said, all right, you never know. And lo and behold, it is now 86-82. They were down as many as, 19? I don't think it got to 20. It may have, but it was like 18, 19 in that range starting the fourth quarter. But Dallas has outscored them by 16. So, yeah, they were down 20, 30-14, because now they're only down 4. So we got 28 seconds left. As far as my SGP is concerned, I have everything except one stinking thing. I can't believe it. I don't have I have Dallas right now anyway, covering the 6. I got the over. That's going to hit. I think. Actually, you know what? I don't have the over. That's 160. It's 168. So I need 2 more points for the over. But that figures, maybe. I got Becker's. I need Beckers to get 2 more stinking points. Never mind. She's got her 3. Asia Wilson's got her points. Chelsea Gray only has 1 3-pointer, but Beckers only has 18 points. But we're there. How's your SGP doing with
I'm sitting right on the bubble too. I've got Paige. I took her over the 17.5, so that's come in. She's got 18. Wilson, I need over 2.5 assists. She's got 2 assists, and then I need the over 169.5. So I need 2 more points as well. So,
Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers, a 2-pointer. She's got 20.
I love it.
That's only gonna twist the knife now, because now I if she wouldn't have gotten 20, then I would have had 2. The only one, and that pushes it to 170. So now I'm gonna get at least a push on that. The only one I'm not gonna probably get, Joe, is Chelsea Gray. 1 made 3-pointer. She's made 1 3-pointer in 17 of her, or 1 or more, 17 of her 20 games. 3 stinking games. I only put it in there just to bump the odds up. Of course she's going to get it, right? If I don't win this bet because of her, man.
Yeah. And I just need 1 more assist out of Wilson, and I'm pretty sure we won't get it either. So, but we just did see
overtime, maybe.
Get on the board for the Aces. So, who came in with those points? I'm seeing. Look at Wilson. She's got 37 points now. Wow. Well, yeah.
How does she only have 2 assists?
I don't know.
No.
37 points, crazy. 10 rebounds.
Yeah. Why'd you do assists with Asia Wilson? She's been on fire. Listen, anybody can make a bet, right? 3 assists. Anybody can get that, you would think.
You saw that you had her points, and I was already getting Paige for her points, so I switched it out. Okay, let's take her for her assists. She's been great with her assists as well. I was doing 3.3, so I thought she'd get over 2.5. Right?
Right.
Thought so.
Especially a high-scoring game and everything.
Yeah.
So that stinks. You're gonna you kind of kick yourself with that one, and I kick myself because the game did go over. It's 88-84. So and just put it in Chelsea Gray. Just bumped the odds up quite a bit. I said, all right, let me do it, because everything else was Dallas related. Budge. Unbelievable. So, all right, we got a CFL game tomorrow, Joe. We're not on tomorrow because really there's not much going on. So we'll have a different kind of programming tomorrow night here on the grid. But I know we got a CFL game that you got some plays that you want to throw out there before we leave.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic game tomorrow between the Toronto Argos and the Montreal Alouettes. Now, both of these teams are coming off bye weeks. And before that, Montreal struggled in their last couple of games out there. And this is one of the best teams. This defense is so nice and solid. And their quarterback, Davis Alexander, is back under center. So this game is all about Montreal coming out so nice, hard, and strong. I'm going to take them over 30.5 points. That's coming in at -122. I'll also lay the 9.5 with them. That's coming in at -118. And you guys, don't be afraid to ult these numbers. I'm ulting it all the way up to 19.5 at +255. If you just want to ult it to 14.5, it's +146. Montreal for the defensive touchdown at +290. And Davis Alexander, 3+ passing touchdowns, Scott. It's +220. He's going to hit it this Thursday. It's going to be a great game.
All right, there you go. So we got a little bit of everything. Hopefully you guys made some money tonight. We're off tomorrow, back on Friday. In-game live, Gabe and Cam coming up next right here on the grid.